Just to refresh a bit the agenda for today, colleagues, before we start, I will give a bit of a very brief introduction, housekeeping rules, also for everyone that is participating. The participants do not have the possibility to open their mic or camera, but they can put questions eventually in the chat. I am not entirely sure, given the quantity of speakers that we have today, if we are going to be able to have a question and answer with the public. Hopefully so. Let's see how much time each speaker will take. We have a keynote speech from Virve Okkanen from Finland, and then I will give the floor to Mayor Sami, Mayor Porras, Mayor Bianju in this order, followed by Ms. Mtenga from Tanzania, Tanya, and to close, Nisreen from Amman. I hope this is all fine with you. Please, again, yes, Marta.
Yeah, Mayor Porras will not be able to join because of an emergency. Okay. And Tanya is about to connect, so I think we can start opening to everyone to join.
Fantastic. Excellent. Please, Marta, you can start accepting colleagues and participants. Excellent. So, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Welcome to the ECOSOC Partnership Forum side event entitled Multilevel Governance for SDG Localization. My name is Martino Miraglia, and I will be the moderator of this session today. The session sees the participation of many different speakers, and you will have the pleasure to hear from them just in about a minute. First and foremost, welcome to you all. A bit of housekeeping rules before getting into the substance. Only speakers and presenters have the possibility of open their mic and video, but participants can raise eventual questions in the chat. We will go on with the speakers' presentations, trying to be as short as possible, and eventually, if we have the possibility to answer your questions in the chat, but don't hesitate, we can take them eventually also in writing online after the session. So welcome again. My name is Martino Miraglia. I am the technical coordinator of the SDG Localization and Local Governments team within UNHabitat Urban Practices Branch based in Nairobi. Just to give you a bit of an overview where we are today. It's true that we are virtually connected, but we are virtually part of a larger process, which is the one of the ECOSOC Partnership Forum. The ECOSOC Partnership Forum is organized every year in order to inform the work of ECOSOC, but also HLPF, and eventually this year also of the SDG Summit. This year's title of the ECOSOC Partnership Forum goes under Accelerating Recovery and Implementation of the 2030 Agenda at all levels. And I underline at all levels because what we want to explore today is the potential, the importance, the relevance of multi-level governance for accelerating SDG localization. We have seen that, and it's widely acknowledged that SDG localization is the key for achieving the SDGs by 2030, and local action from our local and regional governments with the support of national ones is what is needed to achieve the commitment of the 2030 agenda. Of course, multi-level governance is not something that has emerged yesterday. Coordination, dialogue, exchanges between spheres of government is at the very basis of our systems. At the same time, we have seen an increased attention towards multi-level governance, considered as one of those dimensions, an accelerator for SDG localization, because the crisis that we are all experiencing shows that the local governments alone are not able to deliver development, and at the same time, our national governments need the capacity of delivering coordination and connection of our local governments in achieving sustainability. Different countries worldwide have taken into consideration, are advocating now for whole of government and whole of stakeholders approaches by introducing regulatory structures to enhance coordination, aligning national and subnational plans for sustainability and the SDGs. Ad hoc institutions, working groups, cooperation projects have been created where national and local governments have been working together. At the same time, the status of multi-level governance for the SDGs varies very much from country to country. It depends on the decentralization structures and on the governance system that every country has in place. But as UN Habitat Global Study on Multi-Level Governance that we recently launched in December shows, there are the degree of institutionalization and effectiveness depends on the degree very much of coordination and dialogue. We have seen effective multi-level governance system where there is continuous cooperation across levels through well-structured and formal mechanisms. In other cases, dialogue and involvement of local stakeholders is on an ad hoc basis, specifically for specific initiatives. In other cases, informal cooperation is sometimes based on personal exchanges rather than institutional ones. Of course, there is not a fit-for-all solution. Certainly, experiences and practices that are now emerging shows that the more the cooperation is institutionalized, the more dialogue exists, the better is for then those enabling frameworks for local governments to deliver on their mandate to be in place. I will conclude by saying something which is, for me and for UN Habitat, specifically important. SDG localization and multi-level governance are not enabling approaches for their own sake. If we look at the Secretary General report on our government, on our common agenda, SDG localization and multi-level governance are the basis upon which our multilateral system should be reshaped upon. We are talking about a renewed multilateral system based on inclusiveness, which is networked and effective. SDG localization and based on multi-level governance offers the capacity of aligning policies across spheres of government and domains, improves horizontal integrations across societal actors and stakeholders, but also has the possibility to go beyond mandates and political agenda, offering a temporal continuity to development action. That is why we really advocate for the international community, for our multilateral system to look at the local level, to look at SDG localization and to strengthen multi-level governance systems, because by strengthening our cities, by strengthening local action and local governments, and by connecting it to the different levels of spheres of level, not only we increase our national capacities to deliver development, but we support our multilateral system and our global agendas towards sustainability. I will conclude here, as we have a great number of speakers that will tell you more about what I'm actually saying by sharing concrete examples and perspectives. I won't make the list of speakers as I will introduce them to you as we go along. You have received the concept note of the session as well. Please don't hesitate to put again your question and in the chat. We have a keynote speaker today. The keynote speaker is Virve Akkonen, Program Manager of Sustainable Cities Program from the Ministry of Environment of Finland. Virve, if you can turn on your camera so that everyone can see you. You have been, Finland has been at the at the forefront of SDG localization through the action of your cities. And I have had the chance last year to be both in Helsinki and Tampere to meet you. But specifically, you have been of the forefront of really this enhanced dialogue across levels where the national governments have been talking and dialoguing with the cities in trying to find a framework of cooperation to jointly advance the SDGs. I know that this has not come together overnight. There's been difficulties, challenges, but I will leave the floor to you to give us a bit more of insights on your experience. I'm sure that everyone is interested. Thanks again, Virver. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Martina. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure and an honor to be virtually here with you today. I'm Virve Hokkanen and I work at the Ministry of the Environment as Program Manager of Sustainable City Program. And as we all know, cities play a key role in sustainable transition. In Finland, cities and municipalities have a wide range of responsibilities related to environmental and social sustainability. Especially the 6 largest cities have strengthened their work for sustainable development and the SDGs at the local level. The SDG 4.6 network of the 6 largest cities, together with Association of Finnish Municipalities, is developing their sustainability work together and sharing knowledge and learnings to other cities in Finland and in other countries. For example, Espoo is integrating SDGs in almost everything they do, using SDGs as a framework for sustainability work. VLR reporting to the United Nations has been done by at least the city of Helsinki, actually twice, and cities of Turku, Espoo, Vantaa, and Oulu, and Tampere. Even smaller municipalities, for example, Kemi and Kuhmo, have strongly included the SDGs in their strategies and sustainability work. Finland has also succeeded with the SDG goals and ranked very high in international comparisons of sustainable development. This good success is supported by good cooperation between the cities and the state. The government is supporting and promoting sustainable urban development between the cities, sustainable urban development through legislation, policy measures, funding, and also partnerships. This Sustainable City Program is a partnership-based program. It's accelerating and catalyzing the environmentally and socially sustainable development of cities and municipalities in Finland. The key focus of our work is to support the sustainable development of cities and municipalities, and also to increase the cooperation between the cities and the national government. The actions include, for example, developing new practical solutions for sustainable urban development through experiments and pilots, incorporating sustainability more thoroughly into the city's sustainability management, and also scaling up good practices. The program has produced, for example, new practical solutions for increasing social sustainability through citizen participation or good green areas. And it has also provided expert support, peer learning, as well as guides and workbooks on sustainability work and management of sustainable development. The program, of course, contributes to the implementation of the SDGs. It has, for example, promoted SDGs by supporting municipalities' sustainability goal setting and monitoring, and including sustainability into city strategies, as well as producing guides and workbooks to support utilization of SDGs in local sustainability management. One of these guides we have also published in English. The SDG goals have also been an important starting point in our work to develop indicators for sustainable urban development in Finland. Cities and municipalities' VLR reporting to the United Nations has been supported in this program by a Nordic event and a VLR discussion group in our virtual platform offered for cities. The Sustainable City Program is a 5-year program and is coordinated by the Ministry of the Environment. And by now, approximately 90 cities and municipalities and 70 other organizations have participated in this work. And since this year might be the last year of the program, we are now especially concentrating on spreading the results and searching for new ways to continue this cooperation, because we still do have these big environmental, social, sustainability challenges and crises to solve together. This brings me to my last point. I would like to emphasize the importance of remembering for who and what we are doing this sustainability work. Though it would be really easy to measure our success by number of goals, partnerships, participants, and projects, in the end, we are trying to improve the well-being of people and nature. So our common work for SDGs and sustainable cities should aim at producing good quality environments and green, functionable, socially equal and participatory cities. I will conclude by saying that partnerships between the state, cities and municipalities and other organizations is a good and necessary way to explore collaborative pathways to sustainable urban transitions in the future. Thank you for your attention and thank you for this opportunity to talk in this event.
Thanks a lot, Virve. Well, first and foremost, congratulations for the work done by the ministry, done by the Finnish cities, and for the collaboration that you have made possible. You have mentioned the last 2 points, the partnership, the importance of partnership for collaborative urban transitions, but also this is a very good starting point of the discussion. Let us all remember for whom we are working for, and which is our communities, our planet. So all of this is at the end of the day not measurable in terms of projects and in terms of how much money are we going to spend, but in terms of the changes, the transformative changes that we can produce for our local communities. So thanks a lot for that introductory note, Virve. And maybe if there are any some questions, if you can remain connected a bit later, we can take some of those. Thanks a lot for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you again. So let us start with the core part of our session. I should mention, and I share my apologies with the partners that have actually organized and implemented this session, which are UNDESA, UNECE, UNECA, UNESCWA, UNESCAP, and UCLG. These are the regional international partners with whom we are within the UN and beyond, with whom we are working since many years on voluntary local use and advancing SDG localization across the world. And we are recently convening our expertise, resources, and networks across projects in order to advance these SDG localization worldwide. And the multi-level governance component is a key dimension that we all work and look into very interestingly. So a big thanks to the partners of the session that have helped us also to engage with the speakers that are now today in our panel. So let's move on with the first of the speakers, Mayor Kanan. Thanks a lot for being here with us today. Well, you have a very long-standing political experience working at the local level with local governments since the late 90s. It would be interesting to know about your ideas of an opinion about the importance of working at the local level to advance sustainability based on your experience, what you have been doing in the past, what you are currently planning to do right now. But also, I would like to connect you, if possible, to one thing that I was mentioning before, being the centrality of SDG localization and multi-level governance in our multilateral system. Geneva hosts the UN, many major events and processes. It has been hosting and it's looking to hosting them. So where cities have a key role. So please, if you want to share your reflections upon it, that would be great. Thanks a lot for your presence.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Welcome to all of you. I'm very happy to take part in this virtual session, and thank you very much for the invitation and for the organization. It is very convenient that I have the honor and the pleasure to take the floor after the colleague from Finland. I really must congratulate the Finnish authorities for their involvement in those issues, and the colleagues of Finnish cities who are very giving the example to all of us. It's a very timely event that we're having today. And to be clear, I am talking to you with my double function of one side being mayor of Geneva for some years now, and on the other hand, being president of the Geneva Cities Hub, which exists for 3 years. The Geneva Cities Hub is a platform created by the Swiss authorities with the city of Geneva as the main actor, and trying to connect the international organizations, the multilateral world in Geneva, as you mentioned, and the cities and the network of cities, especially UCLG and all others, that with the focus of increasing the weight and the presence of urban issues and related to urban issues, obviously the local governance in general, to the multilateral activity in Geneva. So to answer your questions, I will speak about 2 points. First, the newly institutionalized Forum of Mayors by UNECE, I mean the European Commission for Europe, and its potential to help to support localization of SDGs. And second, the fantastic tool which is Universal Periodic Reviews on the human rights connected to the SDGs and environmental records of all states in the world, and these applied to local governments. So first, regarding the Forum of Mayors, the 56 UNESCWA member states have just taken a very important decision some days ago, a decision that I allowed myself to call historic, a remarkable step in the direction of a modern and more inclusive global governance. The Forum of Mayors, now institutionalized, is unique and particularly innovative because it will enable the voice of local authorities to be formally included in UN decisions, in particular here in Geneva, which, as you said, is recognized as a major center for multilateralism. It will help with time to forge a UN-based database of local practices, experiences, policy statements, interactions among mayors and central governments. So through the adoption also of declarations, the publication of recommendations, it will offer a unique platform for cities to make their priorities, their concerns, and commitments heard, and secure a sound dialogue on international and national levels between central governments and the local authorities on issues of interest, especially, of course, the SDGs. To be fully implemented, we all agree, I guess, that the 2030 agenda must be implemented at the local level by local actors, especially local and regional governments. Thus, I'm convinced that the Forum of Mayors will contribute to strengthening and deepening the space of dialogue between various actors and at several levels, in particular between the mayors themselves, but also with states and with UN. And we are in full interaction with all our colleagues within the networks of cities and local governments, especially UCLG, to see how to use the opportunities the best way we can. I'm also happy that the Geneva Cities Hub will be consulted together with UN regional commissions on establishing an inter-regional segment of the forum. Dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, what cities need today is also a tool of reporting back on their achievements, making comparison of practices, and learn from others in relation to Sustainable Development Goals and the 2030 Agenda at local level. A tool through which their voice could be heard at all the levels of governance, including international level. Local and regional authorities are meeting regularly in the 4 corners of the world. We have very active, very potential, efficient, and competent networks. We have various organizations and coalition of cities grouped within the global task force of city networks. But the institutionalized and structured dialogue among local and central authorities need to exist at a universal level. So the Geneva-based forum will contribute to real added value that will be able to equalize ideas in the bloodstream of UN multilateralism. Other mechanisms would be very important. Hence, I would like to get to my second point, which is Universal Periodic Review, UPR. The UPR is a process directly related to the General Assembly of the United Nations, which makes it very powerful. It's for now 100% state-driven and participatory periodic and public process held in Geneva and in the field which, theoretically, could represent a unique platform for all the local and regional governments in the world to showcase the voluntary local reviews and other good practices. As myself a local because of their immediate proximity to residents or migrants, local authorities are on the front line to respond to the daily needs of the population, including during disasters or conflicts. We see it every day with energy crises, migratory flows, human rights, or the management of cultural diversity. For this reason, the UN system being state-driven, existing tools should be adapted to include local authorities in the multilateral governance. The Geneva Cities Hub has thus identified the Universal Periodic Review, created initially as a human rights tool, but now dealing with climate change, environment, and the SDGs, as an ideal possibility for local governments to participate in the work in this international mechanism. I invite all of you to look at the website of the Geneva Cities Hub to follow the LRGs in UPR Coalition and help us to provide an arena for presenting the VLR reports to the international community. Finally, the Universal Periodic Review is a permanent auto-generator of disaggregated data, which is needed to make an analysis on the ground that can be used on the long run as a data collector for local authorities. In particular, once again, I can really encourage everyone to use the UPR for reporting on the voluntary local reviews to help localize SDGs sooner and better. With this, once again, I want to thank you for your invitation and your kind attention, and I wish you a good continuation of the debate. Thank you very much.
Mir Kanan, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for your presentation, and it is actually impressive that the kind of work that you are doing in Geneva under your leadership, also within the Geneva Cities Hub. And thank you for bringing to the attention the two dimensions at the end of our work, no? The development side, but also the human rights component that needs to go necessarily hand in hand in the implementation of not only the SDGs but the major global agreement. And I fully agree with you, and UNHabitat is a fully fledged partner of that alliance. That the UPR, the Universal Periodic Review, should be one of the key tools for local and regional governments to be, let's say, a bit more into the picture of member states and national processes with regards to human rights implementation, and indeed connecting the work of local governments, which are at the forefront of responding to the crisis, as we have an emergency as we've seen, with the work on sustainability through VLRs, SDG localization processes, has really the potential to create those, let's say, encompassing frameworks where local governments can be empowered and can be in a dialogue with member states to deliver on their mandate. Thanks a lot for your inputs, Mayor Kanan, again. Now we are going to the other side of the world. We are going to Nepal with Mayor Bianju, Mayor Dulikel, and Mr. Mayor, you have recently been re-elected mayor of your territory, and in 2022, well, first of all, congratulations, and in 2022, you have also launched your first voluntary local review, the first one in Nepal. Reflecting a bit also on what Mayor Kanan was mentioning, how is and how was your voluntary local review developed, and what do you think that local reporting, and if the experience of voluntary local review has been increasing dialogue and cooperation with the national level? Tell us a bit about your experience and how you are working in advancing the SDGs in your municipality. Over to you, and thank you for your participation.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, especially ECOSOC Partnership Forum and all of organizers and participation, all of you. Namaste from Nepal. When I was elected in first time in Dhulikhel municipality, mayor of the Dhulikhel, I humbly prioritizing my strategic plan and annual and periodic plan. We prioritizing the SDG related action, and then my annual budget and activities also relative of the SDG related action, and we are working lots of activities about the SDG related. And same time, UNESCAP and ICLI International, CDKL also prioritizing the South Asian two municipalities, Dhulikhel and one of the Bangladesh municipalities. That time, UNESCAP also find out what kind of the SDG related action is doing in Dhulikhel. We already finalized 5 specific areas. SDG 1, no poverty. SDG 3, good health and well-being. SDG 4, quality education, and SDG 6, clean water. These 4 are specific area we are working properly, especially when we are starting the SDG related action. That time, Dhulikhel municipality have 13% people have below poverty. We create SDG related different type of policy and activities. We provide some budget, specific area, special women. We municipality also create a institution. One institution is Women Council, second is Youth Council, third is Engineers Council, fourth is Disabled Council, and the fifth is our marginalized community councils. This council, as we founded, and then we providing budget, especially awareness sector, skill development, and the entrepreneurship sector. That is the most important things. We are working together with that different 5 councils, and then we improve our poverty sector. Now we have just 4.36% poverty. We come down 8% poverty level. That is the big thing. And second is health sector. We already mentioning the community level and the engineers and women, different type of the disabled people. We create a insurance system and community health program and pregnant women. That is our basic health sector. And we knew program Healthy City, one of the biggest program, and that program is prioritizing the senior citizen and younger and child. That is the another thing. And another is quality education. Now Dhulikhel municipal has a literature city. Before we had just 71% people have literature. Now we completed to the literature city, and 98% people have literacy. That is the big thing. And the school education, higher level education, we are freely, we manage the free education. That is another thing. And clean water. When I was elected in mayor, that time just 38% people have one tap, one house. But now, after our municipalities working together with different type of the communities and CBOs also, then we are now completed in 86% people have one tap, one house. UNICEF also declaring the 2 villages is the safe drinking water SDG related villages. They are declaring. That is the another thing. And then UNESCAP and Shiriken ICLI International also finalize this area, and then we publishing the VLR report 5th April 2022. Dhurikhel municipality is the first municipality in the Nepal who is preparing the VLR report. We have a lot of experience, but we don't have proper data and institutes and arrangement and human resources also. But we are talking about the different type of stakeholders and partners. Then we identified our data collections and analyzing the indicator of the SDG related, and we identifying the project linking the SDG and SDG related. Then we preparing our report. First step, we revising the program with the sustainable development, then ensuring the progress, experience and participation of the SDGs, finding the biggest challenge. What kind of the biggest challenges we have? That time we have a lot of challenges. We don't have a institute arrangement. We don't have a lack of budget. We don't have a human resource. But our municipalities have a lot of political commitment, and my municipality is preparing our council, and our municipal board also committed to the preparing the SDG related action. And then we creating the small groups and who is evaluating and monitoring. That is the important things. And then, but we have so many challenges. I already mentioning that funding and SDG related awareness. We don't have, our people don't have the awareness, and data is the most important, but we don't have data that time. In Nepal, after promulgating our constitution, have managing in Nepal 3 types of the government: federal government, provincial government, and local government. These 3 types of government have 2 different types of the rights. One is the concurrent right, and second is a single right. Federal government have 35% single right. Province have 21 single right, and local government have 22 single right. Similarly, federal and the local government have 15%. 15 is the concurrent right. Then we are talking about the federal and provincial government, how to manage the SDG related action. We need to the SDG related action, especially localization is most important, but government have a lot of activities and commitment and institutional arrangement also. Federal government have, but provincial government is a new government, and local government is not new, but the new arrangement after promulgating the Nepal constitution have our local government is the very different type of the government. Before our government is not government, that is the institution of the local level. But after promulgating, we are talking about the national government and the UNICEF friends also. Then Nepal government is establishing the Nepal established SDGs Forum 2016, and the government institution and mechanism set up and implementing the SDG related specific our planning commission. That is planning commission have goes to that right. And VLR in 2020, this voluntary national review, Nepal have already mentioning, and periodic plan with the SDG, especially federal government and some of the local government also. Most of the important is public and partners, private sector is private sector and stakeholders also most important for the SDG action. If you don't have private sector supported, if you don't have community supported, if you don't have public sector and stakeholders, we can't achieve that. It is the most important, not only localization, local government also partnering the private, partnering the communities, partnering the CBOs and the public institution also. That is the most important thing. We SDG related specifically, UNICEF is not a bigger municipality, and this is the small municipality. We have just 38,000 people, and little bit small size, medium sized municipality in Nepal. But we have a lot of energy, lot of commitment for the SDG related, because SDG is not only UN responsibility. SDG is not only government responsibility. SDG is the responsibility of the people who needed to the education, who needed to the environment sector, who needed to the health, who needed to the poverty reduction, and so many responsibility is the most important for the people. And then we are feel the not only federal government, local government is also preparing the policies, some bylaws, and some activities. Then after we are preparing the VRR report, this is our big achievement and the big responsibility. And next step, we completed 4 SDG related action, but we need another 13 SDG related action in my city. And then we are talking about our international donor agencies and the national government to preparing the another SDG related voluntary action and activities to the working with different stakeholders for the SDG related action. This time we are talking about different type of institution who is supporting me, especially UN and federal government and other also. This is our experience, and Durikel is the first municipality who is doing this SDG related action, and then other municipalities also very well to the exchange the Durikel municipalities SDG related action. That is another thing, and another municipality also want to work together with Durikel municipality for the SDG. This is our achievement.
Thanks a lot, Mayor Bianju. That's congratulations, first of all, for your work, for the achievements, for the SDG actions, for being the first municipality in Nepal to produce a VLR, but also you have touched upon many different points. And I think that I will actually connecting also to something that is going on in the chat, the involvement of the communities, the partnership with the different stakeholders. It's something that you have mentioned that has emerged quite strongly from the work on SDGs that you have been carrying out in Dulikel. And clearly, the political commitment, despite many of the challenges that you are facing from data to financing, is the engine to start working and to overcome those challenges. Clearly, I understand that there is lots of coordination and support also with your national level, the VNR in 2020, the SDG partnership, but also the SDG specific budget based on coordination between the different levels of governance. I will thank you again for your intervention. We move on with the next speaker. Before moving on to the next speaker, I encourage everyone to have a look at the chat because there are quite some message and an interesting discussion going on. Inspiration probably for a further discussion. I'm just seeing the discussion between Beatrice, Ingrid, Alim on non-state actors, involvement of local communities, which is also very much linked about the contextualization of SDG implementation, how actually multi-level governance and implementation varies according to the status of the local level. How do we work in informal settlements? How do we make sure the local governments actually the work at the local level is balanced between governmental entities and non-public stakeholders? This is quite interesting debate. Please keep going on the chat, and hopefully this could be another topic of debate also for another session focusing on this kind of stakeholders coordination in different contexts. We're now shifting from the local level, we are going to the national one, and from Asia Pacific, we are going to Africa. Teresa Mtenga is the head of the Socioeconomic Development section of the Ministry of Planning and Finance in Tanzania. And her section and ministry is also in charge of planning and reporting against global agendas, including the preparation of the voluntary national review. Now, Teresa, I know that Tanzania is preparing a voluntary national review for this year. We
Yes.
all know that this is a challenging process. At the same time, we know also that there are many localities in Tanzania that are taking action to implement a report of the SDGs, such as Mwanza, which is preparing the first voluntary local review in Tanzania. Based on your experience from bringing the national perspective to the dialogue here, how do you work with your local governments? How is coordination ensured in order to jointly deliver on the SDGs and sustainability to your local communities? And what do you think that actually the voluntary national review process is useful in strengthening coordination? Is it something that, in your experience and in the past, because this should be the second that Tanzania is preparing, has it been a useful process to dialogue more with your communities? Over to you, Teresa, and thank you for your participation.
Thank you so much, Mr. Martino, our moderator. Allow me to share the experience on the implementation of SDGs in Tanzania. Since the adoption of the Agenda 2030, Tanzania has mainstreamed the aspiration goals into sectoral and national plans for implementing an initiative that has simplified the review of the progress and the status of 2030 Agenda priority areas and indicators. The United Republic of Tanzania has adopted a whole of society approach to implement and attain the SDGs. The government engaged various categories of stakeholders in order to build awareness and sensitize them on the role they are expected to play in implementing the SDGs. Moreover, the SDG implementation is facilitated by cooperation framework between the government and the United Nations. The United Nations Development Assistance Plan, UNDESA 2, has been in operation since 2016 and expired in 2021. As a result, a new framework entitled United Nations Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework 2022-2027 was developed as a primary instrument between the government and the UN's work at the country level to accelerate the implementation of SDGs. This new framework commenced in 2022 and set sustainable development objectives and implementation strategy between the government and the UN. It's a jointly developed framework between the government and the UN implementing agenda derived from SDG targets, but tailored to specific country context. Apart from international framework, Tanzania has been implementing SDGs for more than 5 years without a national guide. So to address the disparities toward the SDGs implementation among stakeholders, the government through the Ministry of Finance and Planning, in cooperation with key stakeholders, prepared the National SDGs Coordination Framework, which aimed at facilitating effective implementation, monitoring, and reporting of SDGs. The framework acts as an integral guiding tool for implementing SDGs in the context of our national plan, which we have 5 years development plan. Now we are in number 3. Furthermore, as a part of the framework preparation, Tanzania established resolutions to prepare the VNR report every 3 years. In 2019, the United Republic of Tanzania had the opportunity to prepare the first voluntary national review report on the implementation of sustainable development goals, and it presented at the UN high-level political forum in New York, United States. Last year, the government also was accepted by UN ECOSOC to submit its second VNR report by July this year, 2023. Therefore, the Ministry of Finance and Planning commencing the initial stage by informing all relevant stakeholders as per the UNESCF guideline to allocate resources for the same exercise, as well as to commence the process in preparation for the VNR report. These stakeholders include government institutions, UN agencies through their Apex UN Resident Coordinator Office, development partners, civil society organization through the Apex United Nations Association, and the private sector through their Apex UN Global Impact. This was for Tanzania mainland, and for Zanzibar now, the island part, through Zanzibar Planning Commission and the Office of Chief Government Statisticians of Zanzibar as their Apex. Moreover, the President's Office, Regional Administration Local Government Authority, as a representative of all regional secretariats and the local government at subnational level, were informed about the commencements of the process. So to kickstart the preparatory process, the government launched the National Task Force, whose members were appointed from their respective interests in accordance with NSSF guideline. Furthermore, the members were assigned basic responsibilities of preparing various guiding documents, including VNR and annotated outline report, stakeholder mapping templates, and various tools for data collection and reporting templates. In addition, the meeting resolved that each member should commence the preparation of preliminary information from the workplace as the initial stage toward preparing the draft report of VNR 2023. So on the part of Zanzibar, to continue drafting the report through the VNR annotated outline report along with the approved roadmap so that their report can be included in the main report. Similar representative of CSOs and private sector through their forums. The government also convened the second working section for the task force member from the Tanzania mainland to analyze and discuss various submitted inputs in order to commence the initial drafting of the second VNR report at the national level. However, the President's Office, as a member of the task force, presented mapped stakeholder consultation at subnational levels, showing a limited number of regional secretariats and local government due to scarce resources available. This entails the next step toward preparing the VNR report will be to conduct a working session at the subnational level to gather data and information on the implementation of SDGs. Despite all the government effort to reach the subnational level, it also acknowledges the support of UN Habitat in conducting the voluntary local review in Mwanza as piloted region in Tanzania. This initiative will support in so many areas, including supporting Tanzania to become a regional pioneer and a champion of SDGs, scaling up the VLR experience to support additional cities to develop also VLRs and kickstart the SDGs localization, and building the capacity of local and regional government and local community to localize SDGs. Despite the challenges of few resources, the government in assuring to scale up the methodology of pilot VLR conducted in Mwanza to other subnation levels so as to strengthen the VLR process. Allow me to note the few challenges experienced as we are implementing this process. So, like many other least developed countries, Tanzania also experienced a setback in achieving the 2030 agenda. And this is as follows. Number one challenge is the deficiency in data availability. Here we're talking about quantity, quality, and real data. This has been a significant challenge in the production of reports. Another one is inadequate capacity in the development of voluntary local reviews that provide analysis of the national institutional environment for SDG localization. Another challenge is inadequate capacity in leveraging the census for geographic disaggregation of the SDGs and data layering techniques to reach those further beyond. Here we're talking about leaving no one behind. This has been also a challenge for us. Another challenge is the lack of national SDGs tracker tool that helps to record, to visualize, to analyze how progress on SDGs interact in a given context. The tool needed to overview where critical trade-off and synergies exist, how each target influences and is influenced by all others, which targets are most catalyst for progress, and which target will not be supported by progress in other targets. This offers decision and policymaker valuable information for working systematically with synergies and trade-off and identify priorities and actions that can drive progress across the whole 2030 agenda. Another constraint is a financial constraint. In reaching out to more stakeholders, especially at subnational level, lead to the need to realize the 2030 agenda in full. As SDGs reporting at different levels, especially the local level, boosted the implementation of SDG. So we have the following suggestion as the way forward to, for implementation of SDGs. Given the notable challenges in implementing the 2030 agenda, Tanzania calls for UN agencies to adhere to the commitment to the United Nations Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework of 2022-2027, as SDGs reporting, including VNR, is within the set of sustainable development objectives of the framework. Therefore, Tanzania is urging the UN agencies to support the above challenges to realize the achievement of the 2030 agenda fully. In conclusion, the full reporting of the implementation of SDGs needs resources, it requires time, and a dedicated consent from all of us. So our efforts and pace toward inclusive and sustainable growth have been hampered by the COVID-19, as we are all aware, and the ongoing Russia-Ukraine crisis. However, this predicament should not deter our aspiration of leaving no one behind. Let us join hands in devising mechanisms to mobilize resources and the required skills together. Thank you so much, Mr. Moderator. Asante sana.
Asante, Teresa. This was inspiring, very much interesting. You have touched upon many different dimensions of the work of Tanzania. First of all, congratulations, and let me reflect just on one point, which is clearly the SDG reporting, the connection between VLRs and VLRs is emerging in many countries as one of the entry points for a nascent dialogue. In the preparation of the VLRs, you have mentioned the process that you are putting together for consulting with different stakeholders, civil society, and this links a bit also to what is happening, the exchanges that are going on in the chat. Civil society is preparing a national report that is going to be integrated into the process of the DNR. So this is certainly a way where non-state actors can be integrated and the dialogue can be created across actors and levels. And this also thanks to the support of the UN Association in Tanzania. And I agree with Beatrice in the chat that the multi-level governance is very much a way to reshape interaction among all stakeholders. And what I would like also to mention, Teresa, is the interesting reference that you have made to the work of Monza, to the work of VLRs, and to your aspirations to scale up the work that Mwanza is going to finalize and develop. And I know that this is also something that is coming out of a partnership with Tampere in Finland. So it is not only the work on Mwanza, but there is also a component of experience sharing, of connection beyond borders, where cities are on top of innovation, off top of experience sharing, and this is very much transformative. And I'm happy to see that this is something that is very much considered also all over in the VNR, but also for your support throughout the process of SDG localization. Teresa, thanks a lot for your inputs. I see that there are reactions in the chat. Please, colleagues, feel free to all panelists to engage in the chat and reply to questions from the participants. From Africa, we are going now back to Europe and to Tanya. Tanya is our friend and the chief city planner of the city of Niš in Serbia. Tanya, I know that in Niš you are going, this is a turning point, if you want, with many plans being reviewed, a lot of interesting and creative thinking around how the city of Niš will look like in the future. Tell us a bit about what you are planning to do. I know that you're also in the process of starting the development of the voluntary local review. So what are your plans and how do you relate with your national counterparts? Over to you, Tanya, and thanks for being here.
Thank you, Martino, thank you for this opportunity and for invitation. And can you share my short presentation or no?
Sure. I will ask please to Marta to upload the presentation. You can start while we upload it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I will start with some short city information, basic information of city of Niš. City of Niš was the administrative, military, and trade center of various states and empires, to which it belongs during its long history. We have a great history. Roman Emperor Constantine the Great was born in the area of today's Niš. In the ancient city of Naissus, and we have in our city a lot of layers of history from ancient Roman era to Turkish era, and now from today. It is the largest city in the south and third largest in the Serbia. It covers an area of about 596 square kilometers and has about 260,000 inhabitants. And I want to share with all of you that in Serbia and also in Niš, there is a great hierarchy of planning documents. We have specific planning documents which include special plans of the city of Niš. This is a strategic plan, and also general urban plan, also a strategic one. After that is general regulation plans. That plans is legally binding plan and a detailed regulation plans. All of that planning documents covering a lot of goals and a lot of to do on the space in the city. But we recognize the shortcomings of the system and we now we will try to our best to fix them. You know. Next slide, please. And for summary of SDG context, I can say some some information. We have launched a new planning cycle with many novelties and improvements. For example, City of Niš development plan for the period of 2021 to 2027. A new set of planning documents, special plan, general urban plan, general regulation plans, and all of that plans we plan to prepare in the next 2 years. A new methodology with a strong focus on participation. We start also on solutions that respect, improve the existing situation in the city. Rationalization of construction land. On the picture below, you can see the green line shows the new one suggestion of general urbanistic plan and we try to rationalization of construction land on the city, and also balance between planning and construction, and a lot of focus on connectivity. Connectivity, not only for people connectivity, system connectivity, also connectivity in the space, because we have a lot of lost connection in the past time. And we have a separate institution and separate I don't know, like goals in some institution. All institutions have own goals, and this is very problematic in to implement some, for example, goals on the planning documents, also in SDG context and SDGs goals. And also planning documents, as we want to improve that planning documents must be a result of teamwork and balancing needs, not needs of one person, two person, or specific persons, balancing needs of all of citizens and wishes and possibilities. Next, please. And I check like a top 5 challenges in implementing SDGs, and one of that will be knowledge, curiosity, and motivation of employees. We have a lot of I don't know how to say like a problem with that, because we lose motivation of our employees, because they have a lot of administrations and a lot of jobs to do, and we must motivate it to creativity of thinking and creativity of new I don't know, processes, and sharing the ideas from institution to institution, etc. For second one is efficient system of data collection and analysis. Also, we have a lot of data in some part of institution to institution, but we must check what is that data, and how we change from one institution to another, and how we analyze that data. Third one is efficient system of planning. We have a system. We have I show from slides that we have a hierarchy of planning documents and to set up goals and etc. But I think that don't enough efficient system. We must renew it because a lot of old system and old thinking in that system exists, and that depends about also of knowledge of people in institution. In the right, you can see the one, I don't know how to say, like design for participation, and that is will be a forerun, better participation. In process of a new cycle of planning documents, we design some kind of posters, and we will stamp them and distributing from all of the city to call of citizens to participate and to continue in one continuously process from planning. And this is my writing about how process will be. You know, that is a not low must be process. That is a like advantage process. And 5 is a monitoring and evaluation. From 1 to 4 are improvements. We have that, and we have that a long time ago in a system in Serbia, but must improve that. And the monitoring and evaluations needs to be introduced as a new through the law and institutionally. And in UNECE we have now a process, and we from our institution of planning we will get 3 or 4 people for our monitoring and evaluation. Next slide, please. And at the end, I want to say something about connection between Serbia and UNECE, like a city, and key opportunities for implementing SDGs. Serbia and UNECE have a long-standing planning practice and tradition, and Serbia made a voluntary national review in the 2019. You can see the flower. That flower is Ramonda serbica, and symbol of sustainable development of Serbia, and that is like a symbol in our voluntary national review. And when I thinking about a symbol of voluntary local review from Serbia and UNECE, I thinking about also for Ramonda serbica, but I will talk about later. Second one is UNECE is a university city, so there is a possibility of networking as well as innovation and changing knowledge with university and academia. A third one is city of UNECE is a mid-city, and as such, it can be easily organized through institution and specially and achieve sustainability. And for the city of UNECE has historical significance, a good geographical position, climate, and nature. All together that makes it unique. And because data sustainability implies the preservation and improvements, the uniqueness of the space, because that I think that symbol of VLR of UNECE must be and can be together two flowers, Ramonda cervica and Ramonda natalia, because only in niche, in near niche, we have that unique situation that the two flowers of them grow together, and that is unique of all of the world. Thank you.
Tanya, thanks to you. Very inspiring. Also conclusion, bringing the flowers, and that's actually a very good. That's a very good image to share with all participants, no? Because sometimes we have the big flower, which is the one that grows across all our country, but then we find the specificities of our biodiversity and the flowers that only grow in our territories, and that's what we need to take into consideration when we harvest them. So thank you for visualizing actually this in simple terms. Also, this necessity, the multi-level governance, SDG localization translated into flowers. I think that your presentation has raised quite a lot of questions as well in the chat. Please don't hesitate to take them if you want to respond to them, because I think that you have touched upon many interesting components. I'm pretty sure that other colleagues connected are facing the same challenges in navigating different plans at the national, local level, the urban, the general, the regulatory one, which is one that we need to refer to, and the plan is from the 70s. But you know, there is a lot of challenges in coherence and coordination among planning. And also for me, it was quite interesting that among the challenges that you have, of course, you've mentioned the data, the participation, mobilization, and the monitoring, but also the interesting, which the perspective that you have on motivation. How do you keep motivated? How do you stimulate the creativity of all departments within the municipality that are necessarily that needs to be involved in such an exercise of reshaping planning, but also in a dialogue with the national level? How do we make sure that this knowledge and coordination is for everyone and everyone is engaged? This is something that indeed takes a lot of time, and congratulations for your work again, Nish. I will pass the floor now to our last speaker, and we go now to the Arab countries. We are going to Jordan, to Greater Amman municipality. We have Nasreen Dawood connected. Nasreen is the manager of the Sustainable Development and Amman and Resilience Unit of Amman. And beyond being the manager of the unit and beyond having 23 years of experience in urban planning and design, she has been also part of the task force developing the voluntary review of Amman as the first VLR developed in the Arab countries. So, Nasreen, at this point, I would like to take a bit your experience and what you have heard out of all the interventions that beyond you. This is a challenging question, but what do you find what would you bring home? Which are the challenges that you have identified that are similar to the case of Greater Amman municipality? And going back to the topic, the key topic of this discussion, how do you interact with your national counterparts? I know that through the VLR process, you had some exchanges, but certainly it's always challenging. So I would like to hear more about your experience, and as well as the participants would like to know more. Over to you, Nasreen.
Yeah, hello everybody, and thank you for the invitation. And I hope I can cover your question, because I learned a lot from my previous colleagues. So hopefully I will represent Amman case in preparing the voluntary local review report as the first Arab city to launch this report. Allow me first to introduce my city in a brief. Amman is the capital of Jordan. It is the political, cultural, and economic center of the country, with around 4.2 million inhabitants. Amman which is more than 40% of Jordan population. It is the biggest city in the country. Amman on the past century faced a lot of challenges, especially due to refugees. Now 1/3 of our population are refugees. These are the registered one, and the number is a lot more. Yet Amman has been always resilient with its people and dealt successfully with all the challenges that we are facing. Amman also is heavily affected with a lot of financial difficulties with the regional conflicts, water scarcity, as we are now officially the poorest country in water. We have a lot of climate change incidents and of course the COVID-19 pandemic. Yet we continue to grow. We are the 4th most visited city in the region, and we are a regional hub in the Middle East. We provide a strong example of tolerance, progress, and growth. We have a clear ambitious as a city to become more green and more resilient. We are the first Arab country as well to release our climate action plan, which was released on 2019, and now we are in the process of updating our plan. We released our smart city roadmap also as one of the first on the region, and of course the voluntary local review that was released last year. Our VLR focuses on 6 out of the 17 goals. We choose these goals because they are relevant to our mandate as a municipality, and also it's aligned with our strategic goals. We also concentrated on mainstreaming gender consideration and of course the challenge of refugees. The VLR was, the preparation of the VLR was led by the VLR task force from Greater Amman municipality with the support of different UN agencies and UCLG. And we consulted more than 60 entities, including the public, the government institutions, the private sector, civil society, academia, local and international organizations also were consulted during the preparation of the report. And what's unique about our VLR, it was prepared in parallel with the development of the second voluntary national review of Jordan. This gives us the opportunity to align our priorities, our challenges with the national level. It allows on reflecting the similarity and synergies between the key messages provided with both the reports, and even the data and evidence is used in both documents were cross-cutting and parallel, and a lot of data that was in the VLR, it was sourced from the VNR. The VLR of Amman distinguished that Amman is a national and regional center for international cooperation. Over the last few decades, Amman has become as a testing ground for innovation solutions, sustainability solutions in several aspects in urban planning and building, transportation, energy, water, waste, and climate actions. 3 main key messages was developed from the VLR, which is the importance of mainstreaming the SDGs into municipal policies, strategies, and plans, and the importance of evidence-based policies and decision-making process. and developing and testing new approaches and methodologies for stakeholder engagement and citizen engagement. These messages were reflected on our strategy, 2022-2026 strategy. It was released around 3 months ago. All these messages and the outcome of the VLR was an input in our strategy. The strategy has 4 main pillars, which are the quality of life and environment, transportation and infrastructure, investment, and legislation and capacity building. The important lesson that we learned is the importance of coordination between different stakeholders and the importance of public consultation during the whole process, because anything that is provided by the local community is highly taking into consideration in our VLR and in our strategic planning. Finally, we appreciate the effort of the UN different agencies and UCLG for the continuous support, and hopefully we will continue our work. Thank you very much.
Zreen, thanks a lot to you. You have touched upon many interesting things, and also how the VLR has then it has fed into your strategy, the 4 pillars, the issue of coordinator, the issue of coordination, and the issue of public consultation as well, the need for including and the vision, the priorities, the needs of local communities into the review of the SDGs, but also in the planning for the development of the city. Clearly, the work that MAN has been doing in consulting with the different stakeholders is quite impressive, and congratulations also for the connection with the VNR process. I'm interested indeed to see how Amman has become a bit the hub and the testing ground, as you mentioned, for many sustainability action within Jordan, clearly being not only capital but the leading champion within at the national level and regionally for sustainability actions. And I personally think that one of the dimensions that made the Amman central is exactly having the capacity of bringing together communities, of coordinating among the different stakeholders, the internal, the partner coordination. This is something that is quite unique of Amman, and depends also on your leadership and the work that you have been implementing in the past. So congratulations again, and hopefully this work is going to be even more strengthened. Colleagues, I will. We are at the end of our session. We are a bit lagging behind with. We are a bit behind in the schedule, but this has been a very fruitful, very interesting discussion. I think that we had some 200 participants connected to the meeting, which is quite relevant and underlines the relevance also of this discussion. I think that this has been quite an interesting and inspiring exchange with. For different with different regions, localities, levels that have been sharing their experience. I won't try to sum it all up or to write it up, because this has been quite of an intense, substantially intense exchange. I would like to think about what we should moving forward with. The issue of multi-level governance for SDG localization, it is just at the beginning. We are at the beginning of a process that can only be strengthened. So from our side, and taking also inspiration from what is happening in the chest, from what the partners have been sharing, we will try to focus maybe more our approach to some of the key topics and thematics and challenges specifically that have emerged, such as how to reinforce community participation and involvement of non-state actors in sustainable development, and specifically in implementing the SDGs. How can multi-level governance support this process? The issue of data, which, spoiler alert, will also be discussed during the regional forum of ECE in Geneva at the end of March, and the issue of policy coherence, which is a key feature of healthy multi-level governance system. Colleagues, at this point, I would like to thank again the partners that have organized this event: UNDESA, UNECE, UNESCAP, UNECA, UNESCWA, and UCLG, and specifically the panelists that have shared such an insightful number of experiences with us from all over the world. The chat is here. These channels will keep being open. We will share a report of this session so that we can, start building momentum and not using only these moments for ad hoc sharing of experiences, but to create an experience exchange that will go on in the next few months. So I would thank you all, and specifically also the participants that have been connected and that have been animating the chat, for being with us today. And we will see each other very soon across the next few months. Thanks a lot to everyone. Thank you again.